Dandavat Pranam. Radhe Radhe. Welcome to Shri Shri Radha Vinobihari Mandir, Shri Vrindavan Dham. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Patit Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vinobihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Harinam Sankirtana ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Dandavat Pranam, all Vaishnavas. I see Jiva Pavana Prabhu has already posted the Mangalacharan. So we will begin with Mangalacharan. That is the auspicious invocation, invoking the presence, the grace, the mercy, the sidelong glances of our beloved Gurudev, our beloved Srila Prabhupada, our beloved Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Sachinandan Gaura Hari, going all the way back to the original Guru who is Krishna himself and his Guru of Prem, Vrishabhanu Nandini, Sri Radha Thakurani. Krishna says, Radhikar Prema Guru, Ami Shishya Nata. Radhika is my Guru of Prem and I'm simply her dancing pupil. She makes me dance according to her tune. So we will call to all of them in the form of the Mangalacharan prayers found in Sri Gaudiya Giti Gucha, this beautiful bhajan treasure trove, and that is page 1. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam. Dandavat Pranam. By the way, for those of you who were here yesterday, when the rainstorm hit and then the sun came, there was a massive rainbow over here. Devotees who were in this area posted photos today, and there was a massive rainbow just over where we were. And now, because we received that beautiful message from Srila Bhakti Kamal Govinda Maharaj, whenever we see a rainbow, what do we think, Sudevi?
You are the rainbow after every storm of my life.
Storm of my life.
But didn't he say?
He wrote storm, but he meant storm.
Every storm of my life.
And then he told us that whenever there's any storm, it is going to finish. And when you see the rainbow, you know that that storm has finished. So Krishna is the rainbow at the end of every storm of our life. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagano Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Caitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagano Lalita Shri Vishakhanditangscha Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayanati Namine Shri Krishna Leela Katane Sudaksham Audarya Madhurya Gunaishcha Yuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tvang Shirashan Namami Tridandinam Bhakta Shiromanim Cha Shri Krishna Padabjadataika Hridye चैतन्यलीलामृतसारसारं नारायणं त्वं सततं प्रपद्ये। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय गौरप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्री श्रीमद्भक्तिप्रज्ञान केशव इति नामिने। अतीमर्त्यच्छरित्राय स्वश्रितानञ्च पालिने जीवदुःखे सदर्ताय श्रीनाम प्रेमदायिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति सिद्धान्त सरस्वती नामिने। श्रीवर्षभानवी देवी दयिताय कृपाब्धये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दयिने प्रभवे नमः। माधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमध्य श्रीरूपानुग भक्तिदा श्री गौर करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते। नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दिनतारिणे रूपानुगविरोधाप सिद्धान्तध्वन्तहारिणे। नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भरसम्बोधे पदम्बुजायते नमः। नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगवरायते। गौराविर्भावभूमेस्त्वं निर्देष्टा सजनप्रिय वैष्णव सर्वभौम श्रीजगन्नाथायते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जयतां सुरतोपङ्गोर्मम मन्दमतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपदम्बोजो राधामदनमोहनो दिव्यद्वृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमद श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्री श्रीराधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेव प्रेष्ठादिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि। श्रीमन्द्रसरसारम्भि वंशीवतततस्थितः कार्षन्मेनुस्वनैर्गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रियस्तु नः। वृन्दाये तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियायै केशवस्य च कृष्णभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द। चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम्। आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं Purnamritaswadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Harer Nama Harer Nama Harer Nameva Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyatha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dandava Pranam, all Vaishnavas. I just saw a comment from Isha Thakurani. Is your audio still jumping? Hare Dandavat. Now we will call for the mercy of Shri Gurudev. Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakati Sadma, Vandomui Sabdhanamate, by Srila Narottam Das Thakur, page 28. 28. Yesterday I was talking about making resolutions. And so I got up a little earlier than usual and decided I was going to chant more than usual. And I fell back asleep, but in my dream, I dreamt that I chanted a really good 16 rounds. And I woke up and I had not. And I was just reflecting on yesterday's conversation about Manasi Seva. Like, if you dream that you chanted a good 16 rounds, does that count? I don't think so. But anyhow, it was nice. I thought I chanted it, and I woke up and I looked at my counter beads and I was like, no. Shri Guru Charana Padma Keval Bhakati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Keval Bhakati Sadma Vandumui Savadhano Mate Vandumui Savadhano Mate Vandumui Savadhano Mate Vandumui Savadhano Mate Chaharo prasade bhai te bhavato riya jai Chaharo prasade bhai te bhavato riya jai Krishna prapti hoi jaha hoi te 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 Guru mukha padmo vakyo Chitte te koriya aikyo Guru mukha padmo vakyo Chitte te koriya aikyo Arna kori ho mane asha আর না করিহ মনে আশা শ্রী গুরু চরণে রতি এসে উত্তমাগতি শ্রী গুরু চরণে রতি এসে উত্তমাগতি যে প্রসাদে পুরে সর্ব আশা যে প্রসাদে পুরে সর্ব আশা চক্ষুদান দিল যে জন্মে জন্মে প্রভু সে চক্ষুদান দিল যে জন্মে জন্মে প্রভু সে দিব্য জ্ঞান হৃদয় প্রকাশিত দিব্য জ্ঞান হৃদয় প্রকাশিত প্রেম ভক্তি যাহা হইতে অবিদ্যা বিনাশা যতে প্রেম ভক্তি যাহা হইতে অবিদ্যা বিনাশা যতে বেদে গায় যাহার চরিত বেদে গায় যাহার চরিত শ্রী গুরু করুণা সিন্ধু অধম জনার বন্ধু শ্রী গুরু করুণা সিন্ধু অধম জনার বন্ধু লোকনাথ লোকের জীবন লোকনাথ লোকের জীবন হা হা প্রভু করু দয়া দেহ মোরে পদ ছায়া হা হা প্রভু করু দয়া দেহ মোরে পদ ছায়া তুয়া পদে লইনু শরণ তুয়া পদে লইনু শরণ এবে যাস ভূষু ত্রিভুবন এবে যাস ভূষু ত্রিভুবন গুরুদেব পতিত পাবন গুরুদেব পতিত পাবন প্রভুপাদ পতিত পাবন প্রভুপাদ পতিত পাবন হা হা প্রভু করো দয়া দেহ মোরে পদ ছায়া হা হা প্রভু করো দয়া দেহ মোরে পদ ছায়া গুরুদেব যে গুরুদেব গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব গুরুদেব যে গুরুদেব গুরুদেব যে গুরুদেব জয় প্রভুপাদ যে প্রভুপাদ প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ যে প্রভুপাদ প্রভুপাদ যে প্রভুপাদ গুরু পরম্পরা পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা श्रील गुरुदेव की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय रूपानुग गौरी गुरुवर्ग की जय श्री गुरु परंपरा की जय I saw a question come. Why not 64? I think they were being merciful to me. Imagine waking up thinking you chanted your full 64 and it was just a dream. So they just gave me a little bit of a lesson there, a little snippet. You only chanted 16 in your dreams, not 64. But anyhow, if it was 64, that would be great as well. And as Devaki said, there are far worse dreams. that could be had.
The point is you wanted to chant more than usual, and in your dream, you chanted 16 more.
That's an added 16, right?
Yeah.
It's not a real 16.
It's just an added hopeful 16.
Yes. So Nama is being beckoned. Question, Sudevi.
Yes?
When do we observe Chandan Yatra?
Yesterday, I suppose, but, yeah. I don't know, unless you have a public program here, it stays in 6 weeks, it's not good.
So our experience in the past has been that their shringar, their permanent shringar, like their eyes and that, their hands, basically from the chandan it comes off, and we don't have the necessary materials or spirituals here to be able to replace that if or when that would happen. So we've taken that into consideration and have decided to not disrupt their current shringar. Dandava Pranam. Hare Krishna. Now we will call for the mercy of Vaishnavas. Kabe Mui Vaishnava Cinibo Hari Hari. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, page 42. When we're in the West, we are able to collect those necessary spirituals to be able to correct or fix that shringar, but we don't have that now. It's difficult to get the particular kinds that we need in India. Kabe Mui Vaishnava Cinibo Hari Hari. Kabe Mui Vaishnava Cinibo Hari Hari. Vaishnava Charana Kalyani Rokhani Mati Hridoye Dhori. Vaishnava Charana Kalyani Rokhani Mati Hridoye Dhori. Kabe Vaishnava Cinibo Hari Hari. Kabe Mui Vaishnava Cinibo Hari Hari. বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর অপ্রাকৃত সদা নির্দোষয়ানন্দময় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর অপ্রাকৃত সদা নির্দোষয়ানন্দময় কৃষ্ণ নামে প্রীত জরে উদাসীন কৃষ্ণ নামে প্রীত যদে উদাসীন জীবেতে দয়ার্দ্র হয় জীবেতে দয়ার্দ্র হয় অভিমানহীন ভজনে প্রবীণ বিষয়েতে অনাসক্ত অভিমানহীন ভজনে প্রবীণ বিষয়েতে অনাসক্ত অন্তরে বাহিরে নিষ্কপট সদা অন্তরে বাহিরে নিষ্কপট সদা নিত্য লীলায়নুরক্ত নিত্য লীলায়নুরক্ত কনিষ্ঠ মধ্যম উত্তম প্রভেদে বৈষ্ণব ত্রিবিধ গানি কনিষ্ঠ মধ্যম উত্তম প্রভেদে বৈষ্ণব ত্রিবিধ গানি কনিষ্ঠে আদর মধ্যমে প্রণতি কনিষ্ঠে আদর মধ্যমে প্রণতি উত্তমে শুশ্রূষাসু উত্তমে শুশ্রূষাশুনি যে যেন বৈষ্ণব চিনিয়া লইয়া আদর করিব যবে যে যেন বৈষ্ণব চিনিয়া লইয়া আদর করিব যবে বৈষ্ণবের কৃপা যাহে সর্বসিদ্ধি বৈষ্ণবের কৃপা যাহে সর্বসিদ্ধি অবশ্য পাইব তবে অবশ্য পাইব তবে বৈষ্ণব চরিত্র সর্বদা পবিত্র যে নিন্দে হিংসা করি বৈষ্ণব চরিত্র সর্বদা পবিত্র যে নিন্দে হিংসা করি ভক্তি বিনোদ না সম্ভাষে তারে ভক্তি বিনোদ না সম্ভাষে তারে থাকে সদা মন ধরি তাকে সদা মন ধরি কবে মুনি বৈষ্ণব চিনিব হরি হরি কবে মুনি বৈষ্ণব চিনিব হরি হরি জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর প্রভু কৃপা করো মোরে দয়া করো প্রভু কৃপা kripa koro, more doya koro, Prabhu kripa koro, more doya koro, Prabhu kripa koro, more doya koro. All Vaishnava Thakurs ki Jai. In this prayer, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is telling, "O Hari, when will I recognize who is a Vaishnava?" Sometimes we just look across the board and we see all our Vaishnava. This is from the perspective of Uttam. They will see like this, that everyone is serving Krishna. But for those who are not on that level, we should not pretend to see everyone on that equal level. It can create disturbance in our own spiritual lives. Why? Because we will superimpose the qualities of the Kanishta, or even on the materialist, onto the Uttam, or vice versa. And it can create some real aparad. So we must be careful for that. When will I recognize who is a Vaishnava? The lotus feet of the Vaishnavas are a mine of all auspiciousness. I will become maddened by holding them within my heart. The worshipful Vaishnava is always transcendental, without faults, and full of bliss. So, there's a verse by Srila Rupa Goswami, the 6th verse of Upadeshamrita, Jistai Svabhava Janitair, Vapushashcha Doshair, Na Prakritatvam Iha Bhakta Janasya Pashyet, Gangam Hasam Na Kalabud Budapena Pankair, Brahma Dravatvam Apagachati Niradharmai. That the pure devotee or the Vaishnava is always faultless. In the same way that you may see mud or foam or even dead bodies floating in the Ganga, yet the Ganga is completely pure and transcendental. So if you see any qualities in the pure Vaishnava, maybe sometimes it appears that there is some anger, or maybe they have some external deformation or anything like that, we should be very careful not to judge the Vaishnava. That is the meaning of Gangam Basam Nakulu Budbudapena Pankar. That she's always transcendental, so the Vaishnava is always transcendental, without faults and full of bliss. He has deep affection for Krishna's name. He is indifferent to mundane affairs, and he melts with compassion for the living entities. So, when you see these kind of qualifications, he has deep affection for Krishna's name. Krishna Name Prita. Indifferent to mundane affairs. Jare Udasina. Indifferent to mundane affairs means also that they are not engaging in mundane affairs. Why? They have deep affection for Krishna's names. When one has taste in Krishna or Krishna's names, they have no attraction or concern for the mundane affairs of this world. So we can all feel our own pulses and see to what extent are we absorbed in the mundane things of this world. Are we absorbing our minds constantly in meditating on the past times, the glories of the Vaishnavas and the Lord? Or are we also engaging our minds, our energy, our time in thinking about so many material or mundane subject matters? He melts with compassion for the living beings. That's Jivete Doyadra Hoy. This is the nature of the Vaishnava. There's that one small story of the Brahman or the Vaishnava. He sees a scorpion, and that scorpion is drowning. So he goes to save the scorpion, and the scorpion stings him, and he drops it, but then he sees the scorpion is drowning, so he goes to save it again. Again it stings him. And somebody noticed and said, "Why do you keep trying to save that scorpion? You know he's going to keep stinging you." And he replied, "It's his nature to sting, and it's my nature to feel compassion and try to save him. What can we do about our natures?" So he could not tolerate to see the suffering of this jiva. He's trying to save him. In the same way, Vaishnavas are always feeling compassion upon the jivas of this world who are bound in samsara, knowing that they are entering again and again into that blazing fire. which will burn them and which will keep them bound in suffering for God knows how long. Therefore their hearts, it is said, their hearts bleed upon seeing the suffering of the jivas. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he said that every selfless welfare worker of Gaudiya Math should be willing and ready to expend a minimum of 200 gallons of their own blood for the spiritual upliftment of each individual jiva of this world. 200 gallons. So how much energy is that one must expend for each individual? That's not for everyone altogether. How many gallons of blood do we have in our body now? But so much energy goes into endeavoring to help the jivas. And this comes naturally due to the compassion which is arising in the heart of the Vaishnavas. When Mahaprabhu orders, Jive Doya, be compassionate upon the jivas, this is already within the heart of the Vaishnavas. They are naturally compassionate. And their nature is also to endeavor to engage all souls in the service of Krishna. The Vaishnava is free from false ego. Oh man, that's a tough one. Free from false ego. That this mood of I and mine, I am the doer, my idea is the most important, and if you even slightly cross my idea, I will destroy you. So much false ego. This is actually the demonic nature. Krishna speaks about divine and demonic qualities in Bhagavad Gita. And whoever is not with me, you are against me. These kind of moods come out even within those who are practicing or endeavoring devotees. And this is symptomatic of, you can say, neophytes. Those who are still full of anarthas and maybe have so many weaknesses and maybe tendency toward aparad, but they have some attraction to Guru, Vaishnava, Krishna, the topics of Krishna, Bhakti and like that, but still so many things are there. So just because somebody is a devotee does not mean that they are now fully free from all anarthas. Otherwise we wouldn't have to practice and continue in our sadhan and following instructions of Gurudev. If we were already pure, like Gurudev told Sudevi, if you've already given up all of these things, you should be giving initiation, not accepting. So there's a process of gradual elimination. It is called anartha nivritti. Gradual elimination of those things which are unfavorable for the development of love and devotion for Krishna. And those anarthas are removed via the association of pure devotees and following their instructions. That is bhajana kriya. All of the activities that we do in bhakti must be under guidance of the sadhus. And by that, anarthas are gradually removed and bhakti is awakened. So a Vaishnava is free from false ego. Expert in bhajan. Once again, bhajan doesn't mean just singing the songs that are in the songbook. That was my impression when I was younger. We would go to the temple to do bhajans. But bhajan, the process of bhajan means all of the activities collectively that one undertakes on the path of devotion. Those activities which are favorable for increasing one's Krishna Trishna, thirst for loving service of Krishna. All of those activities collectively, that would include sadhu sangha, nam kirtan, bhagavat shravan, maturavas, Shri Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. All of the different processes of bhakti are included within this bhajan. So the Vaishnava is expert in bhajan. Why? Because they can't help themselves. They have attraction, spontaneous, natural attraction to Krishna. And so automatically they would want to do anything which is pleasing to Krishna. So, Kirtan, this is service to Krishna. Hearing Harikatha, this is service to Krishna. If it's part of bhakti, then it must have within its root, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. What is favorable for Krishna? What is for his happiness? What is for his pleasure? What is exclusively for him? So all of the activities that one undergoes on the path of bhakti or devotion would have to have that as its foundation to be considered pure bhakti. Vishayate anasakta, and they are detached from sense objects. He is free from duplicity, internally and externally. So the definitions that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving here of Vaishnava, of course this is applying to the pure Vaishnava, who is a Shuddha Sadhu, because if one has no duplicity and no detachment for sense objects, no false ego, expert in bhajan, they are the same internally and externally. This is the definition of the pure devotee. And if you do not have these qualities, then you cannot call this pure devotee. It will be aspiring pure devotee, or maybe beginning devotee, just starting or developing devotee. But what he's speaking about are the definitions of the pure devotee. And he is filled with loving attachment to the Lord's eternal pastimes. There are three types of Vaishnavas, Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttam, and they are distinguished by their characteristics. So now he's referencing the 5th verse of Upadeshamrita by Rupa Goswami. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshashichet paranatibhish chabajantamisham shushrushaya bhajana vigyam ananyamanya nindadi shunyam hridamipsita sangalabdhya. What are their characteristics? One should honor Vaishnavas according to their levels. It's not that it is all one. We are not monavads, all one. We are not followers of the conception that everything is one. It's not all one. There are different levels or of qualification, of depths of devotion. And so 3 main categories have been given, but actually it's millions of micro levels. But the 3 main categories which are given, Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam. Kanishta means they don't yet have Nishta. They're not fixed. They are neophyte. Sometimes like this, sometimes like this. We can all feel our own pulses and detect. Sometimes we have enthusiasm for chanting, sometimes we don't chant anything. Sometimes we're absorbed in reading Harikatha and sharing Harikatha. Sometimes we just want to sleep and flip through Facebook. Different things going back and forth. This is Kanishta. There's nothing fixed. And symptoms of Kanishta. They have faith in Gurudev, faith in Thakurji and Thakur Seva, but they do not know how to, or they do not honor Vaishnavas properly. This is just due to their still conditioned nature within this material world. And then there's Madhyam. Madhyam Vaishnavas, one should offer their pranam to those personalities. They have accepted initiation, they have accepted Diksha. Diksha astichet pranatibhish chabajantamisham. They are engaged in the positive aspects of bhakti under the guidance of Sri Guru, and basically they have their eyes fixed on the goal. They have not yet attained perfection, but technically the definition of madhyam is that they have attained some sort of nishta, fixed. And what is their requirement or their nature? Prem. They have love for the Lord, maitri. They have friendship with like-minded devotees. This is the kind of association they maintain. Kripa. They give mercy to those who are less fortunate. In other words, the kanishtas who are aspiring for bhakti, they help and assist them. And also, this part is always neglected, but upeksha. Upeksha means to avoid unfavorable association, including aparadhis, mayavadis, materialists, lusty persons, those attached to lusty persons, those who are aspiring for merging into the oneness of the effulgence of Brahm. So, all of these things, they avoid that, they neglect that. This is called upeksha. And that's why I started by mentioning about how it's not all one. According to one's own level, they will naturally behave in a certain way, but also we should not superimpose that I'm the pure devotee when I'm still bound in such a way. Otherwise, I can make grave mistakes in my progress on the path of bhakti. So, the Madhyam Vaishnava, these are the main things. Prem, they have prem for the Lord. Maitri, friendship for the devotees, like-minded. Sajati Ashai Snigdha Sangha, meaning like-minded and affectionate. Kripa, mercy for those who need help. And upeksha, they neglect those who are unfavorable. And then the last one mentioned here is Uttama Vaishnava. Uttama, the topmost Vaishnava. Shushrushaya Bhajana Vigyamananyamanya. They have no tendency to see the faults in others or to criticize others. They are completely absorbed in bhajan, always remembering the pastimes of the Lord. No attraction to the material world whatsoever. Complete attachment to the lotus feet of Krishna. And only always engaged in serving Krishna and his devotees. They don't see faults, and they don't see, they have no envy toward anyone. Ninda adi shunyam. Ninda adi means offense and so forth. Ninda adi shunyam. They're devoid of this. One should surrender themselves at the feet of such a person. However, there is a special kind of injunction. For us, we require help. And if that personality cannot distinguish between our needing of help and our soul being pure by its nature, then it can't help us so much. And we also won't be able to understand them properly. So it is said in Shastra that Uttama Vaishnava, by the will of Krishna, will step in the role of a Madhyam Vaishnava. And that Madhyam Vaishnava can discriminate for our benefit and help us to progress on the path. Does that make sense? If you went to your Gurudev and your Gurudev said, "You're perfect as you are," and you look at you, "No, I'm not. I need help." Yeah, everything's good. You're all serving Krishna perfectly. This is the depth of their love. They see their love reflected everywhere. And so, sometimes it is said that those who are coming up into Madhyam, they should be at least Madhyam, middle of middle. They can help so much. And those who are stepping into the role of Madhyam, our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, our Rupanuga Guru Varga, they've also stepped into the role of Madhyam to be able to discriminate and be able to preach and help us to differentiate from what is favorable versus what is unfavorable. It's like the topmost PhD, MD, MA, whatever professor from the highest ranks who knows everything. But he stepped into your high school to teach for the day. So he's taken that role for our benefit, although he's qualified for everything. Srila Gurudev explains that point. So, Jejeno Vaishnava Chinya Loya. When I recognize Vaishnavas according to their qualifications, and thus duly honor them, I shall certainly receive their mercy, which is the source of all success. So it is important to recognize Vaishnavas according to their qualifications. Unfortunately, it's difficult for Kanishtas to recognize Vaishnavas according to their qualifications. That's why Kanishtas don't know how to honor Vaishnavas properly. Therefore, it is essential that one is always under guidance of at least the high-class Madhyam Vaishnava, so that they can understand what's what and know how to tread properly. But Srila Gurudev said, if you are giving the same honor and respect to the third-class bogus person as you are to the Uttama Vaishnava, then you are in fact making offense or aparad to the Uttam, because you're placing them on the same level. So if we do not diagnose and honor according to one's level or qualification, then we can easily become guilty of aparad. Bhakti Vinod never speaks to those who, out of envy, criticize the ever-pure character of Vaishnavas. Instead, he always remains silent. This is quite a intense and heavy statement. For those who have this nature to criticize the pure character, the ever pure character of the Vaishnavas, there are those who do that. We've seen the example in Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, and we know that this personality is actually a transcendental personality, but they are showing us, according to Leela, how to be careful and avoid what not to do. So they're showing us by their example what they are doing, and then we see through the commentaries how we should avoid this. There was this Ramachandra Puri. Ramchandra Puri. Who is he? He is the godbrother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's guru, Ishwar Puri. And his nature was always to criticize, especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why is he criticizing? Well, in Krishna Lila, he's Jatila. Jatila is the mother-in-law of Srimati Radhika. So Jatila is always nitpicking and trying to find faults. So, but in the form of Ramchandra Puri, he's in the form of a devotee, and his nature was to criticize. So no matter what Mahaprabhu did, if he ate too little, then he would say, what? You're not eating enough? Why are you eating so little? And then he would eat more. Why are you eating so much? Always nitpicking and trying to find some fault here and there. Oh, you're eating too much. You're doing this too much. Always trying to find every fault. And if someone's character is pure, if they do not have these mundane inebrities, but one is always endeavoring to find any little nitpicking fault. This is different than big stuff. The big stuff, like what happened in the breakup of the Gaudiya Math, that's big stuff. And there was a necessity to find that fault. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj said, when someone is in a position of leadership, and they are doing all kinds of nefarious activities, it creates havoc in the world. Like Krishna says, Yad Yadacharati Shreshtas. Whatever the great person does, the commoners will follow. So, he said, if they are in a position of leadership and doing all of these nonsense activities, because they're doing it from that position, then they must be exposed publicly. And so this was his position on that. And they did come together as a group and expose it publicly for the benefit of the world and to divide from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's and our Guru Varga's pure teachings that deviation from the pure thing. So in essence, they needed to filter that out. So that, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying here, he's talking about criticizing the ever pure character of a Vaishnava. But if someone is performing or doing all kinds of nonsensical activities, and we blindly accept and follow, then we will in essence be promoting and propagating adharma in the name of bhakti, and you will see years later the negative effects that it will have. Mind you, I was born in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. I went through the Gurukul system. I witnessed a lot, and I see even the after effects today, how things are playing out. And it is necessary to endeavor to maintain purity at the highest level, on the highest level, if respect and dignity are to be maintained in the name of Bhakti. Caitanya Mahāprabhu ordered, especially for those who are sannyasi or of the highest caliber, there should be no spot on your character. Even if you have a pure white sheet and one black spot, everyone will just see that black spot. It's the nature. Everyone will see the black spot. So Mahaprabhu instructed that one should maintain pure character. It's important. One should endeavor to maintain that pure character. But here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, if someone is always criticizing the ever pure character of Vaishnavas, then he will never speak to them and he will remain silent. So this is something to also be very careful about. We don't want to be, in essence, cast out and avoided by those personalities who are our saviors, our only source of hope, that they will avoid us and keep their mouth sealed. And if we feel that that's taking place, then we must make some endeavor to inquire, to seek help and clarification. And because those persons are merciful by their nature, if someone is sincere, then they may be able to receive help. So this bhajan by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is very powerful, very telling, very eye-opening. Again and again we have heard from our Guru Varga that we should endeavor to maintain pure character so that no criticism will come to us, and then our Guru Dev, and then our Guru Varga, and then Krishna. The process of bhakti. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj spoke about this very, very clearly. Otherwise, people begin to lose faith, begin to mistrust. Then there's all sorts of lying and cheating which takes place as a result. Backstabbing and counter aparad and all sorts of things start happening. And then you start looking at it and going, wait a second. If there's not even a semblance of normal dharma here, how can we expect pure Shuddha Sanatan Dharma to manifest here? There's not even decent, honest dealings. So these things, especially now, play out very quickly. In the past, it did not play out so fast because they didn't have gadgets like mobile phones with Facebook. So things would take a long time, and sometimes it might have been better to just kind of move things to the side and continue going. But these days, it plays out on the world stage. And if not now, certainly later. Our Srila Gurudev said, don't think that if you are doing nonsense activities in private, that it is not noticed. One day, they will be exposed publicly. So, it just goes to show. I mean, we can be sitting in our place and somebody just gives a phone call and like that. And you're just like, oh my God, I had no idea. So, these kinds of things, they can happen. They can be exposed like that. Sriman Narayan, he tells to the four Kumaras, I'm so sorry for what my servants have done to you. Because they're my servants, they're my responsibility. And therefore, whatever they have done is a direct reflection upon me. In order to repay you for their offense, I would not hesitate to lop off my own arm or head. This shows that we should not think that we can do anything and everything, and that it does not reflect on our master. The disciple should always act in such a way that no criticism, no denigration comes to their holy master and to their Guru Varga and the process of bhakti. It's a big weight to bear, but it is something that we can really think about. It also happens in families. If one family member does something really, really terrible, it does reflect on the family, and the whole family has to lower their head and go, oh my God, what happened here? It happens all the time. So we have a spiritual family, and we have something which is so precious, so valuable, and so beautiful. And each one of us has a responsibility to maintain that and to represent it nicely. Now, Srila Bhakti Kamal Govinda Maharaj gave us a beautiful example. An example. Today, one devotee just sent us a beautiful big bunch of bananas and a big bag of ripe mangoes. And so when I was speaking, I just looked up for a second and I saw those mangoes and I heard the voice of Srila Bhakti Kamal Govinda Maharaj. It's not necessary to always point out, don't go there, they're bad. He said, you're like in a market, big fruit market. And he said, someone here, his fruit is not ripe, it's very sour, and his is overripe and spoiling and becoming rotten. We can be pointing, don't go there, his fruit is bad and rotten. Don't go there, his is sour. Or we can just say, look, Bhakti Kamal Govinda Maharaj, he told us like this. We should say, look what sweet fruit I have. What sweet fruit. We are carrying that fruit of our Guru Varga and presenting this. We should maintain the purity and the sweetness of that fruit. And he said, those who are sincere, they might try this and that, but eventually they will come to taste that sweet fruit. And they will know, this is where I will get sweet fruit. This is where I won't get cheated. This is where I can find what I'm looking for. If we maintain our character, if we maintain our purity, if we maintain our honesty, our representing, and our ardent endeavor to please and serve Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas and Gauranga, then it will automatically be noticed and seen, and we will be able to please Gurudev. Now we will call for the mercy of Sri Rupa Goswami Pad. Vishaya Vasana Rupa, Chitera Vikar, page 48. Let me change that. I want to sing Haraye Namah Krsna Yadavaya Namah. Page 148. 148. By Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Hari Haraye Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah. Hari Haraye Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Shri Sri Caitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Gopta, Sri Caitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Gopta, Hari Guru Vaisnava Bhagavata Gita, Hari Guru Vaisnava Bhagavata Gita, Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhata Raghunath, Shri Rupa Shri Sanatana Bhata Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath, Echai Goshai Kori Charana Bandhan, Echai Goshai Kori Charana Bandhan, Jaha Hoite Vignanash Abhishta Puran, Jaha Hoite Vignanash Abhishta Puran, Echai Goshai Jar Muitaro Das, Echai Goshai Jar Muitaro Das, Tasavara Paddarenu Mora Panchagras, Tasavara Paddarenu Mora Panchagras, Kandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanevas, Kandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanevas, Janame Janame Hoy Abhilash, Janame Janame Hoy Abhilash, Echai Goshai Jabe Brajai Koilavas, Echai Goshai Jabe Brajai Koilavas, Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash, Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash, Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan, Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayamon, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayamon, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Kori Ash, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Kori Ash, Nama Sankirtan Kohe Narottamo Das, Nama Sankirtan Kohe Narottamo Das, Hari Haraye Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah, Hari Haraye Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah, Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah, Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah, Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhata Raghunath, Shri Rup Shri Sanatana Bhata Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhata Dasa Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhata Dasa Raghunath, Jaya Rupa Goswami Prabhu, Rupa Goswami, Rupa Goswami Prabhu, Rupa Goswami, Rupa Goswami Prabhu, Rupa Goswami, Rupa Goswami Prabhu, Rupa Goswami Prabhu He, 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 Prabhu He. Shri Rupa Goswami Pada Ki Jai, Shri Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Now we will call for the mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. I believe I saw that there was a question and I missed it. Rudra Prabhu said, question. Let me see. Where is that? Oh, when I refreshed, it doesn't show all of the comments. It only shows the last few. Can you share that question, Rudra Prabhu, or whoever wrote the original question? Thank you. Prabhu, question. 1. Okay. At neophyte level, myself, if one tries to categorize Vaishnavas, there stands a high chance to commit offense. So how to avoid that? That is a very good question. That is why one must always be under guidance of the senior Vaishnavas. One must always be under guidance of Sri Guru. One cannot be said to be on the path of bhakti or devotion if they are not under guidance. Why? Because bhakti, by its definition, entails being under guidance. Tishtan braje tat anuragi jananugami. Always under the guidance of those who have bhakti or love and devotion. So if on my own, without any guidance, any person who is able to detect these things, I start making all my choices and decisions and I go along with that, then I can easily make aparad. But if I'm under guidance, then I will clear it with my superior. That means my master, my shiksha gurus or my diksha guru. Somehow, and by their grace, I should be able to understand and see things from a more holistic perspective, and then reconciliation can come. I hope that was sufficient, because I also have this same consideration myself. It is true, if a Kanishta does not know how to honor or diagnose Vaishnavas properly, then how will we be able to categorize Vaishnavas? So, interestingly enough, the function of the Madhyam Adhikari Guru is to somehow or other bring their disciples, who may be Kanishta, to meet with the Uttam Adhikari Guru. And I cannot say this about Gadadhar Pandit or Mukunda, but we see how Mukunda sees Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar Pandit is playing the role of not knowing and being in a little bit of a confusion, seeing Pundarik Vidyanidhi looking like a Bishahi, an enjoyer, a bhogi. He's like, they're saying he's a great Vaishnava, but he's not manifesting the symptoms of a great Vaishnava. I don't understand. And he began to doubt in his heart whether or not this was a Vaishnava. Then Mukunda understood. Since Gadadhar was under the guidance at that time of Mukunda, Mukunda knew exactly what Gadadhar was feeling. He could feel it. He could sense it. So then he quoted that verse from Bhagavatam. Aho bakiyam stanakalakutam, glorifying Krishna, who's so merciful that even though Putana put poison on her breast with the intention to kill him, and she liked to drink the blood of so many young children, she was a Kechiri witch after all, still, because she came in the guise of a mother, Krishna accepted that and gave her liberation from that current body to an eternal position as a nursemaid in Golok Vrindavan. So when this verse was quoted, Pundarik Vidyanidhi went completely mad and praying for Krishna, manifesting all kinds of Ashta Sattvic Bhavs. Gadadhar Pandit then was able to see and recognize. So by the mercy of Mukunda, you see Gadadhar Pandit being under his guidance, although doubt was coming, was able to understand, reconcile, and see things properly. Then he revealed his heart to Caitanya Mahāprabhu, who was also his senior in this case. And Mahaprabhu also gave verification and then gave, confirmation. That because Gadadhar Pandit felt within his heart, I want to take initiation from him, that I want to surrender to him. So then Mahaprabhu gave confirmation, yes, this will be very good. After all, Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radhika in Krishna Lila. Pundarik Vidyanidhi is Rishabhanu Maharaj, the father of Srimati Radhika in Krishna Lila. So we see in this an example of being under guidance and getting clarification from one, two, like this. He wasn't just acting whimsically.
I was just thinking that
Jor se bolo.
as you were speaking this, a lot of times devotees may have this, oh, I made an offense, I should go and surrender to this person. But the real nature of that personality, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, was revealed before him. And then he realized, I've made a huge mistake, I've judged him according to his external presentation. But then, like you said, he also went to Mukunda and also to Mahaprabhu before he accepted him. So I think it's very much showing that being under guidance is so important, because we might think, oh, maybe I made aparad to this person, I should go and be with them, or I should associate with them and try to gain their forgiveness, and therefore we can actually enter into asat sangha.
Yes.
So it's a very important distinction. Just because, you know, we may have made a mistake doesn't mean that that person may necessarily be good association. It might be a pranam from a distance situation.
Or pranam forever.
Or pranam forever. So that's important. And there might be so many lower class persons that are saying, oh yes, this person is a Mahabhagavat, this person is this or that. We've got that since our childhood. So it's actually somebody who's on the level of Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, who can say, yes,
right,
this is the proper association, this is the right thing. So like Gurudev, he would say things about Babajis, they don't even know how to wipe their bums, and you know, they're
with five widows. And
so he says all these things, but you don't see him going there and trying to engage in any kind of relationship with them.
Right.
So he's on that level to see who is who and what is what.
And warn us what's not favorable. Yes. Although from the outside it might look like they're
criticizing.
No. And those persons are chanting and doing all kinds of spiritual things. Yeah.
Like Saraswati Thakur said, I've been all over the holy dham and I haven't seen one pure devotee.
Yeah, they were saying there's so many pure devotees. He said, I've been everywhere, I've seen everywhere. You show me that one pure devotee.
Yes.
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada could diagnose who was pure and who was not.
It's such a wonderful example, and also for us to be careful not to over adhere to that and think that, oh, now I have to go and melt their heart, I have to be with them, I have to surrender to them, because then we may fall to hell.
Right.
So it's a fine line, and to always be very careful. It's our duty to discriminate, but not to judge.
Did you all hear that? She said it's our duty to discriminate, but not to judge.
And there's a very big distinction. To see something for what it is. Oh, this person is molesting people. Oh, this person is doing drugs and alcohol, and then kirtan. Or this person is you know, whatever they're doing, whatever it might be. So to see something for what it is isn't necessarily criticizing. But
that's also not aparad.
No, but then, and to warn others, this is not a good situation. This is affection. But in the same way, if I lost my place.
You were saying to see what someone has done and to notice
to
it.
Judge means, oh, they are only like this. Like we know their heart. We're judging their intention. We don't know. We can see something for what it is and understand I need to stay away, and the people I care about or the people that are asking me, we should tell them the truth.
Right. There might be a devotee who happens to have gone back into their addiction to drugs, but they're inside, they're praying to Krishna,
right.
Please help me, I need help, and even praying to Vaishnavas, but they don't know how to give up the addiction. And we could just offhandedly say, they're just a druggie, a drug addict, but maybe inside they're really desperate for help.
But we know that we should stay away from them for the time being if we can't help them.
Right.
Or if we're also weak, we could be dragged into that. But it reminded me of that Saraswati Thakur and the brahmachari who had a fall down.
Right.
And he wanted to come back, but he couldn't. He didn't feel that there was an opening, but that was of his own accord. He had this mood. It entered his heart, but they were judging him.
And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada came for the temple opening, and he said, we will not do this festival. I will not do this unless that devotee is brought back. And they brought that devotee back to him. They found him working in a little shop fixing watches. And they brought him back because that was his talent before he came.
Sri Guru can see the heart. We
yes.
can't. Therefore, we can't judge. But it is okay to see something for what it is, just like you were saying, to actually put a kanishta on the level of a madhyam or an uttam. Then this is an offense.
Yes.
So we have to discriminate. It's important, but not judge.
Yes.
I just wanted
Thank you. It's always really good clarification when Sudevi adds. I like when she adds. In fact, Gurudev told me that I should follow her. So, One other thing. When she spoke, it reminded me of something interesting. Back in the day when we were small, I was 8 years old. I was living in Bhaktivedanta village, 200 miles north of Los Angeles, just on the other side of the mountain from New Bruges. And it was a big gurukul there with hundreds of students. At that time, the kids started becoming a little bit aware, self-aware. You mean we don't just have to take initiation from our local guru? No, you don't. He didn't, and he didn't. He got initiated by this one in India, and he got initiated by that other one. And then they started picking or choosing which gurus they wanted to accept of the 11 who became gurus after the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada. And I remember kids were choosing one particular guru because, well, he liked chocolate and he didn't follow the don't eat chocolate rule. So like, I'm going with this one because he eats chocolate. Kids, you know, you follow your desires. Well, I'm going with this one because he has expensive curtains and gold-plated bathroom fittings and things like that because he's wealthy. I'm going with this one because, you know, so the kids were making these kind of choices, and somehow the teachers found out about it, that the kids were kind of discussing these things. And so there was a kind of a drive. And there was a disciple of the local guru at the time who was also a teacher, and she was very expert in delivering her speech. And she was going from classroom to classroom to classroom. And I remember when she came to our class, and she gave her very impassioned speech. I was 8 at the time, 8.5. And she was swearing up and down, you don't need to look anywhere else. Our local zonal guru is the topmost of all top pure devotees. You can get everything here. There's nothing that you need from anywhere else. Really, like this to all of us. And we were like, And, you know, it was quite convincing and quite impassioned. Needless to say, all of her enthusiasm disappeared into thin air in the future, and I don't know what happened to her since either. But the point is, just because someone who may be a Kanishta isn't trying to make a convincing argument does not necessarily mean that they are right when it comes to judging the qualification of who is or who is not a pure devotee. So, Ishitakarani. Yeah, because we grew up with carob, we actually preferred carob, and still to this day, something on the side of carob, because that was our chocolate growing up. Anyhow, I wanted to make this point very clearly, because so many can make claims. But who are making the claims? Is it based on their emotion? Is it based on the teachings of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra? Does it have Tattva Siddhanta as its foundation? Because I can guarantee you, in Vrindavan, you will find 1,000 different groups with 1,000 different gurus all making the same claims of grandeur. And most of our Guru Varga would reject 99% of them. So, in terms of the claims that they're making. So there must be a very strong understanding of Bhakti Tattva, Guru Tattva, Sadhu Tattva. What are the teachings of Mahaprabhu? What is there in Shastra, the teachings of Rupa Goswami? How do we understand and reconcile? Srila Prabhupada said the sincere student must be intelligent enough to distinguish. One must become intelligent enough to distinguish in terms of what is good or favorable and what is unfavorable. So it's not blind following. There should be some kind of intelligence. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says the same thing, that we're not blind followers. There is adherence to the spiritual teacher as long as he is altogether good. We can make what we want of that statement, but in that statement itself, he said there is no obligation to maintain allegiance to that person who is not on the level. I'm trying to remember the lecture name. Maybe Jiva Pavana Prabhu knows it. Vyavasayatmika Buddhir. Bhagavad Gita, chapters 13 to 18. From 1830. Understanding which discriminates by intelligence is situated in the mode of goodness. Translation and purport. O son of Pritha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. Performing actions in terms of the directions of the scriptures is called pravritti, or executing actions that deserve to be performed. So there's pravritti marg, and actions which are not to be not so directed are to be performed. One who does not know the scriptural directions becomes entangled in the actions and reactions of work. Understanding which discriminates by intelligence is situated in the mode of goodness. Thank you, Prabhu, for posting that. So, sincerity of heart is necessary. Holding on tightly to the lotus feet of Sri Guru is necessary. Maintaining association and guidance of senior Vaishnavas who are adhering to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. This is necessary if we want to be able to progress nicely and properly. I don't know why this subject came up today. I was reading that verse from the bhajan from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he was speaking about honoring Vaishnavas according to their levels. And so I guess this conversation came out necessarily. Now, there's Isha Thakurani. Okay, so we are going to call out to Sri Nityananda Prabhu in the words of Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur. Jai Jai Nityananda, Rohini Kumar, page 64. Nadia Gudrume will come later because we've already done it recently. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jayo Jayo Nityananda Rohini Kumar Jayo Jayo उधारो लागी दुबाहु पसारो पतित उधारो लागी दुबाहु पसारो गदो गदो मधुरम धुर यादो बोलो गदो गदो मधुरम धुर यादो बोलो जारे देखे तारे प्रेमे धोरी देयो कोल जारे देखे तारे प्रेमे धोरी देयो कोल दगमगलोचन भू प्रये निरन्तरो दगमगलोचन भू प्रये निरन्तरो सोनारो कमले जेनो धीरये भ्रमर सोनारो कमले जेनो धीरये भ्रमर तो यारो ठाकुर निताय पर दुख जाने तो यारो ठाकुर निताय पर दुख जाने हरि नामेर माला गांधी दिलो जग जाने हरि नामे माला गांधी दिलो जग जाने आपी पाशंदी जतो कोरिलो दलनो आपी पाशंदी जतो कोरिलो दलनो दीनहीनो जाने कोइला प्रेम वितरण दीनहीनो जाने कोइला प्रेम वितरण आहारे गौरांग बोली पदे भूमि तले आहारे गौरांग बोली पदे भूमि तले शरीर भिजिलो निताय नयनेर जले शरीर भिजिलो निताय नयनेर जले वृंदावन दास मने विचारिलो वृंदावन दास मने विचारिलो धरणी उपरे किबा सुमे Jayo Jayo Nityananda Rohini Kumar Patito Udharo Lagi Dubahu Pasar Patito Udharo Lagi Dubahu Pasar Jayo Nityananda Ram Jayo Nityananda Ram Nityananda Ram Jayo Nityananda Ram Jayo Nityananda Ram Jai Nityananda Ram Nityananda Ram Jai Nityananda Ram Jaya Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Jaya Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Jai Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Jaya Nitai Gaurango Nitai He Gaura He Nitai He Gaura He O Nitai He Gaura He Nitai He Gaura He पतित पावन श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि की जय Now we will call for the mercy of Sachinandan Gaurahari. Vande Visvambhara Padakamalam. Sri Sachinandan Gaurahari ki jai. Page 339. If you do not have this Sri Gauriya Giti Gucha or the Gauriya Kirtan app, you may subscribe to Jiva Pavana Prabhu. He posts the bhajans in the comment section of the thread along with their translations and beautiful commentaries from our acharyas. Vande Visvambhara Pada Kamalam by Sri Radha Mohan Das. Vande Visvambhara Pada Kamalam Vande Visvambhara Pada Kamalam Vande Jannamadhupam Sorabhakarshita Nija Jannamadhupam Nashita hridgato Mayati niram Nashita hridgato Mayati niram Parani jakantya Jagatam chiram Parani jakantya Jagatam chiram Vande Visvambhara Kamalam Vande Visvambhara Kamalam Satata virajita Nirupam Shobham Satata virajita Nirupam Shobham Radha Mohano Kalita Vilobham Radha Mohano Kalita Vilobham Vande Visvambhara Padakamalam Vande Visvambhara Padakamalam Vandita Kali Juga Jana Mallam Shamalam Vandita Kali Juga Jana Mallam Shamalam Vande Visvambhara Padakamalam Oh Vande Visvambhara Padakamalam Vande Visvambhara Padakamalam Vande Visvambhara Padakamalam Shachinandana Jai Gaura Hari Jai Shachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Shachinandana Jai Gaura Hari Shachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Gaura He 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 Shri Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai. With his effulgence, he destroys the darkness of Maya's illusion, which has covered the hearts of the living entities since time immemorial, proof that his beauty is one of his primary weapons. Definitely Sonam, his shining chest. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Yes, Jiva Pavan Prabhu. I like Sanskrit so much. Page 343 by Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Manasamadhukaram Arupaya Nija Pado. Manasamadhukaram Arupaya Nija Pado. Pankajamakarande. Pankajamakarande. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Yadyapi samadhishu vidhirapi pashyati. Yadyapi samadhishu vidhirapi pashyati. Natavanakhagram marichim. O natavanakhagram marichim. Idam vichamini shamyatavachuta. Idam vichamini shamyatavachuta. Tadapi kripadhuta vichim. Tadapi kripadhuta vichim. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Bhakti Rudanchati Yadyapi Madhava. Bhakti Rudanchati Yadyapi Madhava. Natvai Mamati Lamatri. Natvai Mamati Lamatri. Parameshwarata tadapi tavadhika. Parameshwarata tadapi tavadhika. Durghata ghata na vidhatri. Durghata ghata na vidhatri. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Ayam abdilolatam yadya sanatana. Ayam abdilolatam yadya sanatana. Kalitadbhuta rasabharam. Kalitadbhuta rasabharam. Nivasatu nityam ihamrita nindini. Nivasatu nityam ihamrita nindini. Vindana madhuri masaram. Vindana madhuri masaram. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Manasamadhukaram Arpaya Nija Pado. Manasamadhukaram Arpaya Nija Pado. Pankajamakarande. Pankajamakarande. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki Jai. I learnt that tune from Krishna Das Prabhu. Page 342, calling out to Srimati Radhika in Kalayati Nayanam, Dishi Dishi Balitam. By Sri Rai Ramananda. Kalayati Nayanam Dishi Dishi Vanitam Pankajamiva Mridu Maruta Chaditam Kalayati Nayanam Dishi Dishi Vanitam Pankajamiva Mridu Maruta Charitam Kalayati Nayanam Dishi Dishi Vanitam Pankajamiva Mridu Maruta Charitam Kalayati Nayanam Dishi Dishi Vanitam Pankajamiva Mridu Maruta Charitam Kelivitiyam Pravishati Radha Kelivitiyam Pravishati Radha Pratipada Samuditam Manasi Jambadha Pratipada Samuditam Manasi Jambadha Kalayati Nayanam Dishi Dishi Vanitam Pankajamiva Mridu Maruta Charitam Kalayati Nayanam Dishi Dishi Vanitam Pankajamiva Mridu Maruta Charitam Vinidadhati Mridu Manthara Padam Vinidadhati Mridu Manthara Padam Rachayati Kunjaro Pratimanu Rachayati Kunjaro Pratimanu Kalayati Dishi dishi vanitam pankajaiva mridu marupacharitam kalayati nayanam dishi dishi vanitam pankajaiva mridu marupacharitam janayati rudra gajadhipamuditam janayati rudra gajadhipamuditam ramananda rayo kavigaditam ramananda rayo kavigaditam kalayati nayanam dishi dishi vanitam pankajaiva mridu marupacharitam kalayati nayanam dishi dishi vanitam pankajaiva mridu marupacharitam radhe jayo radhe jayo radhe jaya shri radhe jayo radhe jaya radhe jaya radhe jaya shri radhe jaya radhe jaya krishna jaya radhe jaya krishna jaya radhe jaya krishna jaya radhe jaya krishna वृषभानंदिनी श्री राधा तकुरानी की जय। Now we've come to that very special point in our evening where we are going to call out in the form of the greatest mantra of all mantras, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is actually non-different from Radha and Krishna, and also non-different from their Prem Murti, Sri Sachinandan Gaura Hari, the method to worship him in this age by calling out these divine names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Praying to Radha and Krishna. O Radha, O Krishna, please engage me in your loving service. Please make me yours. I am yours. Harmonium is no good right now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gaur Hari Bol, 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 Hari Bol. Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo, Shri Gurudeva Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Shachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Sudevi, can you give darshan again? Maybe it's the weather change.
This is the darshan outfit. Jaldi karo.
Die.
Hi, Bo, everyone. Hi, Krishna. So here, I guess they want to give darshan again. Sachinandan Gaura Hari. And Krishna, maybe he's showing off his braid. I've never put a braid on him before, but Radharaman just kind of, is inspiring me. Radharamanji is the most outrageous, wonderful Thakurji, so I don't know. I think he's inspiring. There's the babies. I'm thinking of painting his Jagannath. I got it in Jagannath Puri in 2010 when we were there serving Srila Gurudev. And yeah, he's kind of stone, but I thought I would like to maybe paint him. So we'll see. We'll see if that happens. Jai Shri Shri Radha Bihari Ji Shri Bhavantam Ki Jai. Yeah, do you think I should? Do you guys think I should paint Jagannath? I've been thinking about it. I'm not sure, but painting the little Jagannath.
But it's a true toy for Gopal.
Yeah, but you know.
Is it true toy?
Toys can have color. Is this good?
I don't know.
Okay, Sonam says yes, yes, yes. So does Katie. All right. I'm going to paint little Jagannath.
If you think about it, what do you bathe Shalagram with?
Everyone says I should paint. Okay, I'm going to paint.
It's all him anyway, right?
So make you.
You bathe Shalagram in Ganga Jal. What is Ganga Jal? Ganga Jal is the water that has washed the feet of the Lord. In other words, the most purifying substance is the substance which has served the Lord. Right? We even call by mind, by mantra, into our Achman cup all of the holy rivers. What makes them so holy? They are constantly serving the Lord. So Ganga Jal is bathing Vishnu. It's Vishnu's Mahaprasad bathing Vishnu. In the same way that one offers water to water. When you're in Jamuna, you take Achman from Jamuna and offer Jamuna back. We cannot offer anything to Krishna which is not already his. So the idea, Yat Karoshi, Rashnashi, Yaj Chahoshi, Darasiyat, that I'm going to offer you something that's not yours. Actually, everything already belongs to him. The only thing that he's given us a little bit of choice, freedom, or independence with is where to place our Sharanagat. Our love, our affection, our submittance, our surrender. So that, in essence, we can offer. If we offer ourselves, then automatically everything is offered to the Lord, because there is no way that anyone who offers themselves wouldn't thereby naturally offer anything which comes in connection with them to Krishna. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktāya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Nama Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Nityanamine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Giring Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurung Dinatarinam. Thank you for that quote, JJ. That is beautiful. I recommend you all read the quote JJ just posted. It's beautiful. First, I offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Vishnupad, Ashto Tarashat Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. In the same thousands of Dandavat Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Vishnupad, Ashto Tarashat Shri Srimad Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga. and to all Vaishnavas past, present and future, including all of you who are present with us today, we offer our Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, dear Vaishnavas. Radhe Radhe, Radhe Shyam.
Radhe Shyam. So we are continuing with Sri Caitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur with the commentary of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. But before entering into this beautiful transcendental manifestation of the heart and teachings of Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, we will chant the first verse of Sri Shikshashtakam together. Are you all ready? Okay, repeat after me. Cheto darpanam arjanam
Cheto Darpanam Arjanam
Bhava mahadavagni
Bhava Mahadavagni
Nirvapanam
Nirvapanam
Shreya Kairava
Shreya Kairava
Chandrika
Chandrika
Vitaranam
Vitaranam
Vidyabadhu Jivanam
Vidyavadhu Jivanam
Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam.
Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam
I'll do that one again. Anandam Buddhi
Anandam Buddhi
Vardhanam
Vardhanam
Pratipadam
Pratipadam
Purnamrita Shvadanam
Purnamrita Shvadanam
Sarvatma
Sarvatma
Snapanam
Snapanam
Param Vijayate
Param Vijayate
Shri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Shri Krishna Sankirtanam
Jai.
Jai.
Shri Sachinandan Gaura Hari Ki Jai. And we're going to chant the very first verse of Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur, Sri Caitanya Bhagavat. So please post the verse, Ajanu Lambito, and we will chant that now. Oh, thank you, Rudra Prabhu. Ajanu Lambita
Ajanu Lambita
Bujo
Bhujo
Kanakavadato
Kanakavadato
Sankirtanaika
Sankirtanaika
Pitaro
Pitaro
Kamalaya Taksho
Kamalaya Taksho
Visvambharo
Visvambharo
Dvijavaro
Dvijavaro
Yugadharma Palo
Yugadharma Palo
Vande
Vande
Jagat
Jagat
Priyakaro
Priyakaro
Karunavataro.
Karunavataro.
Thank you.
Jayo.
So before entering into this beautiful transcendental literature, which will save all from the path which leads to death and bring one to perfection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada very emphatically states, we will pray in the dust of the lotus feet of the author, Sri Caitanya Bhagavat, and of Sri Caitanya Bhagavat, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur, and the commentator, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, for their mercy, that may even a particle of their moods which are present within these pages manifest itself within our hearts. Now we have come to text 4. Vrindavan Das Thakur is just now in his opening Mangalacarana, glorifying Sri Sachinandan Gaurahari Caitanya Mahāprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So, Sajayati Vishuddha Vikrama Kanakabha Kamalayate Kshanaha Varajanu Vilambi Sadbhujo Bahudha Bhakti Rasabhinarutakaha. All glories to Sri Gaurasundar, whose powerful activities are supremely pure, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, whose eyes are like lotus petals, whose 6 beautiful arms extend to his knees. Did you hear that? 6 beautiful arms, Shadbhujo. And whose heart is inundated by loving devotional sentiments as he enjoys dancing in various ways during Kirtan. We know that in the pastime where Caitanya Mahāprabhu had finally convinced Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to give up his Mayavad leanings and come to the path of bhakti or devotion to Krishna. At that time, Caitanya Mahāprabhu manifested before him an amazing form, a particular for Sri Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. What was that? Sri Shadbhuj. That means 6-armed form. He was showing him that I am that same Krishna and that same Ram. So 2 arms were the arms of Caitanya Mahāprabhu as a sannyasi, carrying a kamandalu, which is a water pot, and a danda. Kamandalu dandam. Ajanu lambita Shri Bhuja Jugalam. So kamandalu dandam. 2 arms were the arms of Krishna holding a flute, and the other 2 arms were the arms of Sri Ramchandra holding a bow and arrows. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya saw this beautiful 6-armed form of the Lord. We have not heard that anywhere out in public Mahaprabhu manifested this, especially while dancing in front of Jagannath or anything. We haven't heard of any 6-armed form in that context. We know that he manifested a universal form in Sri Vasangam, and we know that he manifested this 6th-armed form to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He manifested so many different amazing forms. He manifested indirectly, but as Narasimhadev to Chankazi. He manifested as Lord Varaha. He manifested in many different ways. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada is giving his commentary here. The phrase Bahuda Bhakti Rasabhinar Taka is explained as follows. When the 5 direct rasas and the 7 indirect rasas interact, it is called Bhakti Rasa. The object of attachment for the devotees situated in the 5 direct rasas, Sri Gaurasundar, danced along with those who had taken shelter of him. What are the 5 direct rasas? 4, saffron burfi. Actually, Gurudev said we don't offer saffron to Thakurji in the summer because it's too heating. So instead, we're going to give rose sandesh. Okay? What are the 5 rasas? Vatsalya is one of them. Dandavat Pranam is not one of them, but Dandavat Pranam. Madhurya, very good. Sakya, Sakyam. And Dasya. And Shantaras. Neutral ras, Shantaras. There's no pure neutrality in transcendental Vrindavan. Dasya ras, Sakya ras, Vatsalya ras, Madhurya ras. 5 main rasas. So the object of attachment for the devotee situated in the 5 direct rasas, that is Sri Gaurasundar, he is their object of attachment, danced along with those who had taken shelter of him. So many different devotees of many different, you could say avatars. Because Caitanya Mahāprabhu is avatari. He is the self-same Supreme Lord, the source of everything, non-different from Krishna. Radha Bhava Dutu Sivalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. He is Krishna himself, but imbued with the mood and sentiment of Srimati Radhika. However, different devotees were seeing him according to their own spiritual, intrinsic, inherent, constitutional leanings. That means who is their Ishtadev. They would see Caitanya Mahāprabhu, but also they would see their Lord within him. So as Murari Gupta, we know that Murari Gupta is eternally in Dasyaras as Hanuman, the best servant of Sri Ram. And he worships Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu also as Ram and Lakshman. So each one has their own moods. Now we understand that Caitanya Mahāprabhu does not engage in Nagar Bhav. He's not the paramour of anyone. So we do not accept this if someone is worshipping him like that. But still their internal nature, Gadadhar Pandit, Narahari, as we heard yesterday, Gadadhar Das, Narahari, Jagadananda, Vrakrishwar, Ramananda, Swarup Damodar, Rup Sanatan, and other Goswamis, they all have this nature as Shakti, So they also are situated eternally in Madhurya Ras. Text 5. Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Caitanya Chandra Jayati Jayati Kirtis Tasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhrityas Tasya Vishvesha Murter Jayati Jayati Nrityam Tasya Sarva Priyanam. Unfortunately, I cannot name the 7 indirect rasas right off the top of my head at this moment. Maybe someone can post it. All glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya Chandra, who is the fully independent Supreme Personality of Godhead and the abode of transcendental pastimes. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Chandra, who is the fully independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. All glories to his eternally pure activities. Sri Gaurasundar is the controller of all other controllers. This is also the same what we say about Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Parameshwar, or the Supreme Controller. The Lord of the Universe, that is Jagannath, or Vishwanath. Can you tell them in English, please? And the embodiment of transcendental knowledge. All glories to his devotees and all glories to the dancing of his beloved associates. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is now commenting. After Sri Gaurasundar left Navadvip, his followers addressed him as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Chandra. So in Navadvip, he was known as Nimai, or of Nadia. So Nader Nimai, or Visvambhara. But when he left Navadvip, that time we know that he went to this place, near Doi Ghat, and there dove into the Ganga and went down and received sannyas. After receiving sannyas, his name was changed. It was no longer Nimai of Nadia, it became Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So after he left Navadvip, his followers addressed him as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Chandra, the predominating deity of Sambandha. Sambandha means relationship. Who gives relationship to Krishna. So this is his Acharya Leela. When he has taken sannyas and he's preaching everywhere, so this is giving relationship. The predominating deity of Sambandha. Sri Rupa Goswami has stated in his prayer, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvashe Namah. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who has assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani. It is stated in the Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 334. In his later pastimes, he is known as Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya. He blesses the whole world by teaching everyone the glories of Lord Sri Krishna. So now Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada continues. Those who are achetana-ashray, or devoid of spiritual consciousness, should not think that they can contaminate the teachings of Lord Gauranga simply by replacing Chaitanya Mangal with Gaura Mangal, Chaitanya Bhagavat with Gaur Bhagavat, Chaitanya Charitamrita with Gauranga Charitamrita, or Chaitanya Chandrodaya with Gaura Chandrodaya. In Gaur Leela, the Lord has accepted the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya in order to awaken the propensity of materialistic people who are achaitanya, or devoid of spiritual consciousness, to develop their Chaitanya Dharma in the form of cultivating Krishna consciousness. He also induced people who aspired for liberation to engage in the worship of Lord Krishna. So here Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is establishing that one should not superimpose onto the Lord's bhav at the moment, when he is in the mood of Chaitanya, as a sannyasi, we should not superimpose Navadip Gauranga onto that Krishna Chaitanya. So some people would be calling Chaitanya Mangal or Chaitanya Bhagavat as Gaura Mangal or Gaura Bhagavat instead of saying the name Chaitanya. But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is establishing very clearly here. Rudra Prabhu, I don't know. I have not heard from Srila Gurudev about that. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is saying very clearly here that this name itself, Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the Lord accepted this name in order to awaken the propensity of materialistic people who are achaitanya. So they are devoid of consciousness. Chaitanya means consciousness. And those who are achaitanya or asleep, devoid of spiritual consciousness or spiritual awakening, by saying the name Chaitanya, they develop or they begin to develop their Chaitanya Dharma or their transcendental conscious nature and activities and occupation, which is loving service to Krishna in the form of cultivating Krishna consciousness. Shri Gaurasundar is Mahavadanya, most magnanimous, and Krishna Prema Pradata, the bestower of love for Krishna. These are his supremely pure, eternal glories. All devotees who are direct servants of Sri Visvambhara, the controller of the universe and Lord of Golok, are personally maintained by him and are therefore the owners of his entire wealth and opulence. That's a very interesting statement he's making here. All of the devotees who are direct servants of Sri Visvambhara, who are the direct servants of him, meaning they are his own. Because they are his own in such a way, they have also completely captivated him by their love and affection. In this case, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is saying that they are owners, the owners of his entire wealth and opulence. How can someone become the owner of Bhagavan's entire wealth and opulence? If they surrender everything cent% at his lotus feet, he reciprocates in kind. If they surrender 100%, then he also reciprocates. They say, I am yours. He says, I am yours. What is the proof? Govinda Kohina Mama Vaisnava Paran. Govinda himself is saying, my devotees are my life and soul. They are my life and soul. So his devotees are his everything. Sadava hridayat mahyam sadava hridayatvaham. I do not know anyone but my devotees, and they do not know anyone but me. So in this case, if you yourself surrender to someone, that means everything that belonged to you belongs to them. Correct? If you have given your very self, then anything which was yours must also be now theirs. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in Manasa Deho Geho Joki Chumor Ar Pilu Tuapade Nanda Kishore, my mind, body, family, everything that I have, which I thought belonged to me, I have now surrendered in your lotus feet. So everything in relation to one who surrenders is also, in essence, the property of that person. So the devotee has offered everything to Krishna, and Krishna reciprocates in kind by offering his very self to them. In other words, they also become the owners of his entire wealth and opulence. All glories to the servitorship of Sri Swarup Damodar, Sri Ramananda, Sri Vakreshwar, and other beloved devotees, who in the mood of gopis always glorify the Lord. Text 6. Adye Sri Caitanya Priya Goshtira Charane Ashesha Prakare Mora Danda Paraname. In the beginning I offer unlimited obeisance to the feet of the loving, confidential devotees of Lord Sri Caitanya. I remember reading about confidential, I was going to say controversial, confidential devotees in our Srila Prabhupada's teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And confidential devotees have a particular, you can say, status. And if you look very deeply, because in other places Srila Prabhupada is also referring to the same point, confidential devotees. Those confidential devotees are, in essence, those who are in Krishna Lila, the Madhurya and the maidservants of the Madhurya. They are the confidential devotees of the Lord. So sometimes you think confidential just means, oh, they're very near and dear, but there's actually a specific understanding to the meaning of that word. Shyamdas Prabhu, I'm not sure, but we call him Sri Gauranga. If Gauranga is dressed very opulently, not as a sannyasi, then shouldn't we not call him Lord Chaitanya or Mahaprabhu because he only went by those names after sannyas? So I will pass your question up the chain of command to someone who may have heard this or who knows better details from Srila Gurudev about this particular subject, and then I'll get back to you on it. Thank you for your question. So, confidential devotees. He's saying, in the beginning, I offer unlimited obeisance to the feet of the confidential devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya. Before offering prayers to Sri Chaitanya, the author offers his obeisance at the feet of the Lord's confidential devotees. But here, look, we see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is giving a different meaning here. Among the confidential devotees of the Lord, the spiritual master is the prime celebrity. Lord Nityananda Prabhu himself is the author's spiritual master. So here he's speaking that Nityananda Prabhu is the Vrindavan Das Thakur's spiritual master, and he's seeing Nityananda Prabhu as the confidential devotee of the Lord. Goshti refers to a group of persons who have great relish for a wide variety of scriptures, who are endowed with truthful words, who are embellished with faultless ornaments, and who are full of perfect knowledge. Hearing topics related to the Lord from the Bhagavat and other scriptures, they realize the Lord. This word, Goshti, Raghunath Das Goswami utilizes it in the very first verse of Manashiksha. He's telling his mind, actually he's tricking his mind by playing, what is it? There's a term, I can't remember at the moment. But he's saying, you're so great, you're so powerful. Reverse psychology on his own mind. Oh, you are so great, you are so powerful, you are so strong. So I'm begging you, I'm taking hold of your 2 feet. Aye, swantar bratas. Oh, dear brother. Abhyaje dritapada. I'm taking hold of your 2 feet and begging you to always absorb your mind and serve Guru, Goshthe, Goshtalayesu, Sujane, Bhusuragane, Swamantre, Shri Namni, Vrajanavayuva Dvanva Sharane, Sadadambam Hitva. So, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami is utilizing this. And Goshti refers to the group of persons who have great relish for the wide variety of scriptures, who are endowed with truthful words, who are embellished with faultless ornaments, and who are full of perfect knowledge. Hearing topics related to the Lord from the Bhagavat and other scriptures, they realize the Lord. When we were growing up, there was a term known as Ishta Goshti. Have you ever heard that? And it became, over time, a term referring to it's time to have a meeting about whatever it was. But Ishta Goshti literally means persons having great relish for a wide variety of scriptures who are endowed with truthful words. All of these things related to the Ishtadev. So coming together and discussing the glories of one's worshipful Lord, with all mediums at one's hand, all together glorifying one's Ishta. This is really Ishta Goshti. The word danda means falling to the ground straight like a stick. When you say dandavat pranam, literally it means falling to the ground straight like a stick. I don't see many people doing that these days. It's very rare, but previously they used to do so. And our Srila Prabhupada said the test of all of one's education is that when they see a sadhu, they will fall flat like a stick before them. So this is the meaning of the word danda. And the word paranam means obeisances. Such obeisances are of 4 varieties. 1. Offering greetings. 2. Offering obeisance with 8 parts of the body touching the ground. That is Shashtanga Dandavat Pranam. Oh, that's Shashta. Is that 8? Ashta. Offering obeisance with 5 parts of the body touching the ground and bowing the head with folded hands. So there are different kinds of obeisance. Some are this one. Some are offering greetings. Some are your full body on the ground. And some are in the bent position with your head on the ground, as most people do these days. You always thought Ishtagoshti meant meeting. I learned a lot. When I came to my Guru Deva, I was like, what? You mean bhajans? Bhajan doesn't mean singing? Ishtagoshti means glorifying your Lord? All of these terms that we ended up taking advantage of and utilizing them for some other thing, all of these terms, he gave them deep meaning and understanding. Text 7. Tabe vando Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu Navadipe Avatara Nama Visvambhara. I then offer my obeisance to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. He incarnated in Navadvip, and he is known as Visvambhara. So in this verse here, the word Maheshvara is the conjugation of 2 words, Maha Ishvara, or the Supreme Controller, or the Supreme Personality. After first offering obeisance unto his spiritual master, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the author then offers his obeisance unto Sri Caitanya Dev. This is the proper etiquette. We've spoken a lot about this. Without first serving one's spiritual master, one cannot serve the Lord. It would be considered fruitless. He accepts when one first gives their everything to the lotus feet of their Guru. This is the medium by which one's love and affection is transmitted to the Lord. So first, Guru Nishtha. First, Guru Seva, Guru Puja. What is that verse? Can't remember the full thing. Only Anyata Nishphala Bhavet. So first, one must serve Gurudev. By this medium, Gurudev will bring you or transmit your service to Krishna. This is the proper etiquette. That is why the word tabe, or then, is used in this verse, thereafter. Long before the advent of Shripad Shankaracharya, the Tridandi Sannyasi order existed in the Vaishnava line of Sri Vishnu Swami. So here we have Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada himself giving proof about the history of Sannyas Ashram. The Tridanda Sannyas. Because some people were, especially in the Shankar line, they're asking, where does this come from? We haven't seen this. We have this Ekadanda representing monism. But long before the advent of Shankaracharya, the Tridandi Sannyasi order existed in the Vaishnava line of Sri Vishnu Swami. Why is this important to understand? Because so many arguments come from so many different quarters. And as servants of Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu and our Guru Varga, many of whom carry a danda, a tridanda, we should have some understanding of this so that when the questions do come, or if someone challenges, we can give the praman or the proof where it is in history. Long before the advent of Shankaracharya, the Tridanda sannyas existed in the line of Vishnu Swami. In the Vishnu Swami Vaisnava Sampradaya, there are 10 different kinds of sannyas names and 108 different names for sannyasis who accept the Tridanda, the triple staff of sannyas. But at the time of Shankaracharya, who was a Vedantist inclined to impersonalism and who preached the philosophy of monism, the sect of Panchopashakas, those who worship 5 gods, had again become prominent in India. Who are the Panchopasak? The 5 main gods that are worshipped in India. It's quite prominent. That is why Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu accepted Vedic sannyas from the Shankar Sampradaya, which uses 10 names for their sannyasis. I'm just going to read this very carefully. Why did he accept sannyas from the Shankara line? So there were 108 different names for sannyasis who accepted the Tridanda or triple staff of sannyas in the Vishnu Swami line. Shankaracharya's teachings had become prominent in India. That is why Mahaprabhu accepted Vedic sannyas from the Shankar Sampradaya, which uses 10 names for their sannyasis. In Aryavarta, many Aryan pseudo-followers of the Vedas became followers of Shankaracharya, known as Panchopasaks, under the guidance of that Sampradaya. So when this word Aryan is used, this means the original Aryans, not the bastardization of the term which was utilized pre-Second World War, which is something completely different. The terms were taken and used and abused to demonic ends. Hare Krishna. Let me just see if I can get some light here. There we are. Hare Krishna. So, just when I did it. It was a long wait this time. There we go. Where's the Panchopashakas mentioned? Okay. So this term Aryan, this means the original persons. Actually, they were descendants of the Devas originally. You can read in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sri Krishna Sanghita in his introduction and in his conclusion, and then the central part. Hare Krishna. We're having some difficulties right now, so I'm just going to keep this on. Should I keep it on? So, in Aryavarta, many Aryan pseudo-followers of the Vedas. The original Aryans were supposed to be perfect followers of the Vedas, and they were the examples for all of society. But over time, that name continued to be used, but those who were supposedly Aryans were not following properly. This also creates difficulty in society. So, here it says that pseudo-followers of the Vedas became followers of Shankaracharya, known as Panchopasakas, under the guidance of that Sampradaya. The 10 names of the Shankar sannyasis are Tirtha, Ashram, Vana, Aranya, Giri, Parvat, Sagar, Saraswati, Bharati, and Puri. So you see how that's interesting. We recognize many of these names. I mean, we had a Tirtha Maharaj, Ashram Maharaj, Vana Maharaj, Aranya Maharaj, Giri Maharaj, Parvat Maharaj, Sagar Maharaj, Saraswati would be Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. The title and abode of each sannyasi and brahmachari is as follows. Sannyasis with the titles Tirtha and Ashram generally stay at Dwarka. This is all very interesting. And their brahmachari name is Swarup. Those known by the names Vana and Aranya stay at Purushottam or Jagannath Puri, and their brahmachari name is Prakash. Those with the names Giri, Parvat and Sagar generally stay at Padarik Ashram in the Himalayas, and their brahmachari name is Ananda. Those with the titles Saraswati, Bharati and Puri usually live at Sringeri in South India, and their brahmachari name is Chaitanya. Sripad Shankaracharya established 4 monasteries in India in the 4 directions, north, south, east and west, and he entrusted them to 4 sannyasi disciples. Now there are hundreds of branch monasteries under these 4 principal monasteries, and although there is an official symmetry among them, there are many differences in their dealings. The 4 different sects of these monasteries are known as Anandavara, Bhogavara, Kitavara and Bhumivara, and in course of time they have developed different ideas and different slogans. Actually, Bhakti Vedanta is not the sannyas name. The sannyas name is Swami Maharaj. So, Bhakti Vedanta, Bhakti Siddhanta, these are the titles before then. Bhakti Pramod, Bhakti Vaibhav, like this. So many different pre-names, but the sannyasi name specifically for him would be Swami Maharaj. So his name is Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, and later on, then the title Prabhupada was added. That's why they called him Swamiji or Swami Maharaj. Just like so many you would say for Pujapad Ban Maharaj, Pujapad Madhav Maharaj, Pujapad Sridhar Maharaj, like this. You see so many, Pujapad Narayan Maharaj, Pujapad Swami Maharaj, like this. So they used to call him Pujapad Swami Maharaj, and then later on he became known as Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And here we also had the name Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Maharaj. We don't see that name also here. I don't know where the other names came from. So this is something I'm interested to find out about in the future. According to the regulations of Shankara sect, one who wishes to enter the renounced order in the disciplic succession must be trained as a brahmachari under a bona fide sannyasi. The brahmachari's name is ascertained according to the group to which the sannyasi belongs. This custom is current in this sampradaya up to the present day. Lord Chaitanya superficially accepted sannyas from Keshav Bharati and became known as Sri Krishna Chaitanya superficially. The Lord kept his brahmachari name even after accepting sannyas. So Chaitanya was his, and their brahmachari name is Chaitanya. The Lord kept his brahmachari name even after accepting sannyas. Those who recorded the Lord's pastimes did not mention that the Lord ever identified himself as Bharati. So he didn't take the sannyasi name of his sannyasi guru. Although a sannyasi in the Shankara Sampradaya thinks that he has become the supreme, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu considered himself the eternal servant of Lord Krishna even after he took Ekadanda sannyas. And even although he is the Supreme himself, still he considered himself the servant of the Supreme. Whereas those who are not the Supreme, they think, I am the Supreme, who are actually servants inherently. So, as a friend, as the friend of the living entities and the spiritual master of the universe, he benefited the conditioned souls by preaching the pure devotional service of Lord Krishna among them, and never exhibited the pride of an Ekadandi sannyasi. The brahmachari's only pride is their service to their spiritual master, which is not unfavorable to devotional service. The authentic biographies also mention that when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, he accepted the danda and begging pot, which are symbolic of the sannyas order. So, we are seeing here that this seems a bit beyond the intellectual capacity of some, including myself. However, because these are the words of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, it is auspicious to recite them, and gradually we are coming into the pastimes of the Lord, but he's giving a little bit of historical context for our understanding. Because questions will come up, why did he accept Ekadandi Sannyas? Why did he go to Keshav Bharati? Why didn't he go to the Vishnu Swami line? Why did he accept this name? Why did he do this? Why didn't he do that? And so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is explaining everything so that we can see through the eyes of those who are tattvadarshi, who are truth seers, who know the Lord, who see the Lord, and who understand the Lord and his moods and intentions, and can therefore transmit those truths unto us. So time has now come past 8 o'clock Vrindavan time, and we've actually gone technically quite a bit of a ways. So don't worry, the pastimes of the Lord will be coming soon. His pastime of taking sannyas is a very prominent pastime of his, and so this is all going to come together and start to make more sense as we are going deeper and deeper into his pastimes. Why did he feel the need to take sannyas? Where did he take sannyas? What happened when he took sannyas? What are the rules and regulations of sannyas? Why did he never see his wife from his previous ashram again? What did he do as a sannyasi? So many different aspects of his pastimes play into this sannyas lila, and therefore it is necessary to have a bit of context as to what sannyas is, why one takes sannyas, and all of these little details. They will start to, as one becomes more and more absorbed in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, they will start to fit into place. You know, when you're building a big puzzle with 1,000 pieces, those really little ones, and you're putting them together, sometimes it seems like, oh, well, this piece just looks blank. It's just light blue. But if you miss that piece, you might miss a piece of the sky in your puzzle, and then it will be empty. And although it's not so important in terms of the picture that's there, still it's a piece of the puzzle. And if you want to complete the puzzle, then every piece is necessary. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is giving the full gamut in all of his explanations. And one day, as we're becoming more and more absorbed, what I mean by that is, if you have obsession about someone, you want to know everything about them. Every little detail. What you ate for breakfast, what, your notebook looks like, what kind of eraser you have on your pencil, and every little thing about that person you're obsessed with is a source of delight. And as we are becoming more and more absorbed in the pastimes of Gauranga, the pastimes of Caitanya Mahāprabhu, the pastimes of Krishna, then every little detail will start to become more and more attractive, more and more delightful, more and more interesting. And the more interested we become in Krishna, the more interested we become in Gauranga or Caitanya Mahāprabhu, the less interested we will be in all things mundane of this world. And there is unlimited transcendental detail. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, when questioned, do you have enough information to publish? You're publishing a daily Nadia Prakash, a daily periodical he was publishing. plus a weekly one, I think, a bi-weekly one, a monthly one, every 6 months or every 2 months, like that. He was publishing so much. And he said, the material world is considered only 1/4 or 25% of the entire cosmic manifestation. The transcendental realm is eternal and the pastimes of the Lord are unlimited. What to speak of every day? We can publish every moment new and fresh transcendental information. So there's unlimited detail, and the nature of the devotee, as they're becoming more and more inclined, more and more interested, more and more absorbed, and I want to use this word, obsessed, more and more obsessed would be that every facet, every angle, every little thing becomes tantalizing and exciting because of the development of relationship, mamata, affection, love, appreciation for one's Ishtadev, for their beloved Lord. So on that note, we will end here. Sri Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai, Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. And Govinda Damodar Madhaveti is coming very soon. Bolo Nitai Gauranga Jayo, Nitai Gaurango, 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 Nitai Gauranga Jayo, Nitai Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Gurudeva ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Bhanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Pati Pavana Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandra Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Harinama Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Govinda Damo Dharma Devedi, Govinda Damo Dharma Devedi, Govinda Damo Dharma Devedi, Govinda Damo Dharma Devedi. Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Shyam. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bo.
So thank you all for being with us today.
Thank you.
And giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev and Guru Varga and engaging in such lively discussions with us. Also for encouraging me and all of you together. We are studying and learning about Sri Caitanya Bhagavat from Vrindavan Das Thakur and Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. Also, we would like to express our deepest appreciation and indebtedness to each and every one of you for daily giving us the opportunity to do our Guru Seva, which is our life and soul. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Radhe Radhe.
Radha Vinu Bihariju. Sachinandan
Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Chivriya Modamani. Astamanyana. Kal milenge. Tot morgen.
Ma Ashita. Radhe
Radhe Shyam. Dandavat Pranam. Hey Mom. Radhe Radhe.